Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, with the Lord of the Rings set releasing recently, on this episode, I'm going to be telling you what new budget cards you need for your collection. I guess if you are just collecting them, you can just look at them, but I mean more so like your commander decks. You know what I mean? So let's jump into it, starting off with some great sorceries. First up, we've got Rally at the Hornberg. A sorcery for 1 and a red. Create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. Humans you control gain haste until end of turn. This is just kind of like an upgraded dragon fodder, which is already a card that sees a good amount of play. I mean, technically, Dragon Fodder, yes, is better for, like, Goblin Tribal specifically, but this is just overall better in general. Hey, yeah, 2 tokens for 2 mana is a great rate, but now you also get hasty tokens. You get ones that can swing right away. That's just straight up better. On top of that, if you happen to have other humans that are summoning sick, you can also now just attack with them right away as well. So, yeah, a great card again. There's a lot of other cards out there that are like this one. Again, 2 mana, create 2 tokens. They already see a good amount of play in the right decks. Again, go wide strategies, creature token strategies. Again, this one specifically, human tribal strategies would be good for as well. And now this is an upgraded version. We're just saying that plus this equals, yeah, good. So yeah, first up, that's that. Next up, we've got Ringsite, another great sorcery from this set. And my goodness, this has so much potential. I can't believe it's just 24 cents right now. Sorcery for 1 blue black. The Ring tempts you. Search life for a card that shares a color with a legendary creature control. Reveal it in your hand, then shuffle. The Ring tempting you is just kind of like the icing on the cake of this one. That's nice. That's just a nice thing to have. Sure, that even if you don't have any other effects that actually have you the Ring tempt you or whatnot or anything that cares about that, that doesn't matter. What matters is this is a 3 mana tutor for probably anything you need out of your deck. Again, it shares a color with a legendary creature control. Most commanders, their color identities are based on their actual mana value, their actual mana cost. Sure, some have activated abilities, so keep that in mind. Obviously, that won't count that. It's not counting color identity. It's counting, colors, essentially. Now, you can have other legendary creatures as well, but for the most part, this is a 3 mana. As long as your commander's in play, go get whatever card out of your deck that you need that shares a color with it. So any non-artifact, non-land, essentially, is basically what this is. Go get anything out of your deck for 3 mana. Get it right in your hand. This is a fantastic tutor, and yeah, if you're, say, in a 5-color deck and you've got a commander that's 5 colors, that has 5 colors in its cost, you know what I mean? Then this is just basically, yeah, let's include that if we need a tutor for specific things. An incredible new tutor for commander. Moving on, let's move on to some instants now. Born Upon a Wind, a very cool new card. Instant for 1 and a blue. You may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. Draw a card. So this replaces itself. It is a cantrip. Now, when it comes to cantrips, typically you're like, oh yeah, I like cantrips that just cost a single mana. Yeah, for an extra mana though, you get basically Vidalcan Ori for the turn. That's pretty crazy, and this can actually just help you just win the game kind of out of nowhere. This can be some really crazy big plays. Again, giving flash to everything that you have, spell-wise. You can't just play lands at flash speed, but still, yeah, being able to just cheat out into play, out of nowhere, a sorcery that, like, your opponents do not expect to be coming. And essentially, like, oh, yeah, things are getting a bit dicey here. Let's Wrath of God before this. Oh, let's do an extra turn spell. Or, like, yeah, let's just cheat this creature into play and essentially say, you know what? Out of nowhere, here comes my best creature blocking your creature. You can have some really swingy moves with this. There's some pretty crazy things that you can have. And again, this is just basically a way to say, like, you know what? I have got this card in my hand. I'm just going to do all my things on the end step before my turn. Set myself up for my next turn to win. This card has a ton of potential. A very good card, especially for, like, Spellslinger decks out there that are like, yeah, let's cast all my crazy sorceries on your turn now. Absolutely crazy. Next up, Entis Restoration. This one is huge. This one is... I'm not going to say just like, I don't like saying like an auto-include or a staple, that kind of stuff, but this is up there with a lot of the other ramp spells out there. Instant for 2 in a green, sacrifice a land, search life for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So this is already just roiling regrowth. It is already just basically worse than Harrow with that, but also on top of that, it's got the potential to be even better than Harrow, technically. If you control a creature power 4 or greater, instead search life for the 3 basic land cards from the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So Harrow nets you 1 land, right? You're sacrificing 1 to get 2. Those come into play untapped, so you can use the mana right away. That's nice. This one says, though, yeah, they don't come to play untapped, but I've got the potential as long as you've got a creature with power 4 or greater, which is not that big of a creature. Your commander probably is going to get that for you. Most commanders do. Hey, you get 3 lands instead of 2. You're going up 2 lands at instant speed for just 3 mana. Pretty crazy. So yeah, a great card. Next up, speaking of instant speed, 3 mana, Sauron's Ransom. 1 blue black. Instant, choose an opponent. they look at the top 4 cards of your library and separate them in a face down pile and a face up pile. Put one pile in your hand and the other in your graveyard. The ring tempts you. Again, the ring tempting you, just a nice additional icing on the cake. But what really matters here is this kind of like a different kind of factor fiction, and it's got a pretty low floor for you, where, hey, you're probably going to be getting 2 cards out of this for 3 minutes and speed, and your opponent can kind of mess with you a little bit. You might be able to kind of read them. It depends on if you played with that player for a long time or not. But still, your opponent's going to be like, okay, I have to reveal, 2 piles worth, probably 2 cards, and 2 cards is probably going to do. Or just 1 card that might be really good, and you're like, yeah, let me have that one. You're definitely going to have times where you can flop on this and pick the wrong pile and then kick yourself. But still, if you've got a deck, especially one that can utilize things in the graveyard as well, you probably don't care what's going in the graveyard as well. So this just has a lot of potential. It's not quite Factor Fiction, but it's a very, very good card. And it does cost 1 less than Factor Fiction, so please keep that in mind. Next up, press the enemy. Instant for 2 blue. Return target spell or non-land permanent opponent controls to its owner's hand. You may cast an instant sorcery spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. This one is a bit more situational for certain decks, but I think it is a very, very good card. Return target spell or non-land permanent. Basically, hey, you know what? Let's delay that for a little bit. This is kind of like a Venser, essentially, though Venser can bounce your own things, I guess, but this is kind of like a Venser, essentially, with that, where it's like, yeah, you know what? That spell, I don't want you to utilize that right now. This board wipe that you're casting, nah, not right now. Let's just slow that down. Or, hey, you're attacking with this giant creature. Let's bounce that back. You're about to go infinite with this permanent. Let's bounce that back. And on top of that, yeah, I get something else for free out of my hand. Now it's limited again to an instant sorcery that costs 3 or less. But again, if you're in a Spellslinger deck or a deck that has a lot of instant sorceries, you can get a lot of value out of this, getting something right back to cast for free. So yeah, have fun with that. Next up, when it comes to creatures, the one I want to highlight is Mirkwood Bats. Yeah, this one's already been kind of highlighted on a couple of other episodes. Basically, it came up that the rules committee is technically watching this, I guess they would say, or at least having an eye out for it, because some players aren't liking that this is a new card because it's very powerful with, well, treasures. 2/3 bat with flying for 3 and a black. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Yes, very powerful with tokens. Very good with tokens. Good with treasures, obviously, because you get 1 in play. Cool. You drain opponents. You sacrifice it. You drain opponents. Basically, every single treasure is now drain opponents too. On top of that, obviously, it works with creature tokens. Aristocrat style strategies are going to love this because you make a creature token. You're going to make a lot of them throughout the game. A lot of creature fodder for you to have. You get into play. You got plenty of ways to sacrifice it, like Viserys here, those kinds of things as well. Sacrifice them, drain your opponents even faster. Yeah, it's a very good creature. Don't think it's anywhere near ban worthy, but yes, a very good creature considered for aristocrat strategies, treasure strategies, etc., etc. Anything that makes a lot of tokens, there you go. Next up, enchantments. Fiery Inscription is the first one I want to highlight. An enchantment for 2 and a red. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Again, like I've said with this, sure, that has some benefits. There may be certain decks that will really want that, but also it's just icing on the cake in most situations with this, especially. Whenever you cast in sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is just basically better Gutter Snipe, because this is on an enchantment. And like I've said a lot of times, when it comes to like how you rank certain effects on certain permanent types, sometimes it's like, okay, how hard is that permanent type to deal with, or how often are those dealt with? Wrath of God type effects obviously take out creatures, so Gutter Snipe is one of the more easy things to take out when it comes to, in comparison to this. This is an enchantment. Enchantments are probably the sturdiest of all permanent types, like Planeswalkers. Yeah, have less different, spells that can actually deal with them, but also you can attack and take out a Planeswalker. So basically any creatures can take out Planeswalkers. Same thing with battles, essentially. When it comes to artifacts, there's a ton of ways to take those out. Enchantments, a little bit less in my opinion. Still plenty of ways to do it, but that being said, it's going to stay on the field more often than not. And because of that, hey, an enchantment that is basically Gutter Snipe, which is already a very powerful card in especially Spellslinger decks, yeah, sign me up for that. That is going to be a great card for those decks. Next up, Rising of the Day. Yeah, this card's very, very, very good. Fervor is already a card that sees a good amount of play. Cards like that, essentially, they're just like, hey, creatures you control have haste. Enchantment for 2 and a red. There's a decent amount of those that just give haste for 3 mana. That's huge. On top of that, legendary creature control at +1/+0. So a nice additional pump effect at the very least. Yeah, giving your creatures haste can be very effective, again, in aggressive strategies, in token strategies, in strategies that require, activated abilities of creatures, including your commander. Yeah, or I mean, ones that I should say have tap abilities, so you can utilize them right away. But still, additional pump effect for your legendaries, that's very nice. Being able to swing with creatures right away, that's huge. Being able to activate abilities right away, that's huge. Again, all on an enchantment. They're all just, there's a lot of cards in this set that just seem to be this plus a little extra. This card that is pretty well used previously, plus a little extra now. So yeah, Wizard seems to be doing that quite a good amount lately. Moving on, let's move on to the artifacts. Sting the Glinting Dagger, a legendary artifact equipment that costs 2, has a equip cost of 2. Equip creature gets +1 and has haste. Beginning of each combat, untap equip creature. Equip creature has first strike as long as it's blocking or blocked by a goblin or orc. That part you can probably just ignore unless like one of your buddies, like my friend Eric, has a goblin tribal deck. A lot of goblin tribal decks, so yeah, maybe consider it for that. But what really matters with this is, well, hey, the haste and then also the free untap. That is massive. Again, so this is kind of like a pseudo vigilance, sure, if you want to think about it in that way. That's kind of nice. But what's more important, again, is those creatures that really care about tapping and untapping so you can tap them again, like my Garth commander deck. Garth loves tapping and untapping so you can tap it again and utilize more of its effects. Yeah, this plus like Arcanus, this plus Krenko, speaking of goblins, this plus Krenko is absurd. Being able to activate twice to make twice as many goblins, then twice as many goblins again. Yeah, a free untap effect that grants haste to a creature that probably wants to be able to untap to be able to tap again. Absolutely massive for those commander decks. And then finally, we've got Doors of Doran, a legendary artifact for 5 mana in total in Gruul. Whenever you attack Scry 2, they may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card put on the battlefield, tapped and attacking until your next turn gains trample if you control a dwarf and hex if you control an elf. Those little nice additions at the end are nice. Sure, trample if you got dwarves, hexproof if you have elves. Nice. What really matters is, hey, do you have a lot of creatures in your deck? Do you have like an absurd amount of creatures in your deck? Great. Are you like going to be able to consistently probably hit things off the top? Cool. For 5 mana, now you can just get creatures into play, tap and attacking for free. And again, if you've got other ways to set the top of your library, maybe you've got other scry effects, maybe you've got ways to tutor for creatures and put them right on top of your library. Yeah, that can be huge. That can be massive. This can be a card, again, for creature-based strategies. They can really take advantage of something like this. So yeah, those are my picks for the new budget cards that you should be considering. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the episode. I'm saying budget, I'm saying ones that are within my budget. Cards that are less than $1. Of course, there's other ones that aren't too expensive as well that are very good as well from this set that you should be considering too if they're within your budget. And yeah, some very expensive ones that are very powerful as well. If you haven't seen my episode on the most expensive cards in this set, make sure you check that one out. Yeah, I'm going to be including the list of all these cards in a link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Consider picking up some of them. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.